beauty, and now a devoted mother, and dull background figure to the king's glittering majesty. Even so commonplace a matter as a ripped gown requires a retreat to the red-draped damask and candles of her formal apartments, where she is attended by a historian, as well as a host of ladies and aprons and dwarfs whose task it is to amuse. A simple accident becomes once there was a queen whose gown burst as she danced for her daughter's wedding. I have always loved a fairy tale. If I were a keeper of histories, scratching busily at a wax tablet, bony fingers covered in the sticky stuff, this is what I would record. With backs held straight by their corsets, ladies clad in rainbows lounge before gilded fireplace and blood-curtained bed. They fidget with their jewellery and shuffle their slippers on the floor tiles as music climbs through the shutters, a jangly old tune that Isabelle de Réau, this Isabel, brought from the Loire when she came to marry King Christian Lunedy V. It is a wedding song for a dance of hops and kisses. Musicians play it floating in flat-bottomed boats on Skyggehavn's bay and canals. It hangs in the air with the sweetness of imported sugar, out of which every possible morsel at the wedding feast has been made. For this one night, there are sugar plates, sugar fruits, sugar goblets melting under spiced wine, and everyone has tasted it somehow, from King Christian on down to the little girl who sits in a nook and counts the dishes as they're washed. Lords and ladies flit from treat to treat in the airy banquet houses built in the courtyards, clad in their finest satin and brocade and cloth of tinsel, glowing with jewels, rippling at slashed breeches and sleeves, trickling ribbons from swollen hats. They are tended by servants in yellow livery, or in made-over versions of the nobles' cast-offs, and dwarfs run from spot to spot, enacting comic scenes of courtship. At every fragile little house, the gentles gorge themselves, and those who follow clean up after them, licking and nibbling what they can, blending that sweetness with the tang of sweat. On such a fantastical evening, we aprons imagine that someday we too might wed, and it could be for love. Such is the privilege of servants. The nobles may have their money and their political alliances, but we have our feelings. I once did. While the ladies think of dancing, my sister needlewomen and I stay tense and russet-gowned at the ready, anxious lest the work of so many hands and hours go flying to bits. To the nobility, we look like faded versions of humanity, being of the kingdom's original stock, rather than the French who conquered it a century ago, yellow-haired and white-complected, without powder or paint, anxious to satisfy our conquerors so we might spend a few days longer among our dreams. Our dreams are our riches, our hopes are our wealth, our fears keep us working, and thus let us live. I truly would like to think I'm in the middle of a fairy tale, facing the period of hardship that precedes a triumph. But I am not a likely heroine. To the courtiers, I'm just another native of the city. In my father's home district, I'm the lovelorn object of gossip and shame. His neighbours among the glassmakers believe that, on a winter's day in front of Holy Spirit Church, I lost my one chance at marriage and happiness, and I did it in a way that forced me to disappear. They are not wrong. But nonetheless, I brood over a nest of hope. I'm only 17 after all, and still given to daydreams, some of which have included a scene such as this, myself honoured to be included in the seamstresses on hand, so close to noble ladies that I might touch them by moving an elbow, and breathing the same sweet air as the Queen. But as a simple seamstress, I can do nothing until given permission, except invent stories to soothe myself into patience. I have cause for fear now. Pink flesh is about to burst through Queen Isabel's gown, and that would be a wicked outcome indeed. Her body must be protected like a relic shut in a box. She seems eager to dwell in a coffin of misery, though, as she picks at the silver embroidery and costly white pearls.